Accel World begins with Haruyuki Arita, who has a difficult life, where he is constantly bullied and is at the bottom of the social ladder at his school. Virtual reality games are his solace. One of them is squash, a game like tennis that relied on speed and agility, where he managed to get the highest score. One day when Haruyuki wanted to play squash again, he was surprised by the change in the scoreboard, since someone had exceeded his ranking. That person was none other than his senior in school, the student council vice president, as well as the most beautiful woman in the school, Kuroyuki Hime. Haruyuki meets Kuroyuki Hime at lunchtime, who offers to cable with him, making everyone who sees it surprised, since usually this is only done by couples. Apparently, Kuroyuki Hime did this to send a program called Brain Burst to Haruyuki, which gives the user a unique ability to create a 3D-based world where 1 second in the real world feels like 1000 seconds or about 16 minutes 40 seconds in that dimension. This opportunity was used by Haruyuki to start retaliating against his bully with the help of Kuroyuki Hime and the Brain Burst app. When Araya, one of the people who bullied him, was about to hit Haruyuki, he deliberately took the hit because of Kuroyuki Hime's suggestion. This is a great opportunity for revenge, as there will be many witnesses and this incident will be caught on CCTV. Even though the blows were very painful, this incident was a victory for Haruyuki, as Araya was caught by the security forces, and since then no one has bullied him anymore. For the first time, something good happened to Haruyuki at school, and all of that happened after his meeting with Kuroyuki Hime. Meanwhile, at night, Haruyuki has a nightmare where his two close friends, Chiyuri and Takumu, seem to pity him, making Haruyuki wish that he could fly to free him from his torment before Haruyuki finally wakes up from his nightmare. Although Haruyuki had been warned by Kuroyuki Hime not to connect to the internet for some time, he forgot about it. This made him forcibly get transferred to a 3D world with a new robotic avatar body with the name Silver Crow. Not only Haruyuki, but there was also someone with a skull avatar riding a motorcycle named Ash Roller. Having no knowledge whatsoever, Haruyuki was easily defeated by Ash Roller, and from that moment he began to realize that Brain Burst was basically a VR MMO fighting game. However, those who have the Brain Burst application, or commonly called burst linkers, don't accelerate to fight but fight to continue to accelerate. The point is that they will use 1 point every time they accelerate, and to get it is by fighting another burst linkers. The downside is that for those who run out of points, the Brain Burst will be forcibly uninstalled and the player's memories of the game will be completely erased. Kuroyuki Hime also explained that the Silver Crow had been created through Haruyuki's awareness, hopes, and fears shown in his dream the previous night. After they logged out, the other students who were curious about their relationship started asking Kuroyuki Hime about what really happened. Surprisingly, she claimed that she confessed to Haruyuki, but he rejected her. Not only were all the students shocked, but Haruyuki was also scared because what was said never happened, and this could be a reason for others to bully him even more. After that incident, Haruyuki and Kuroyuki Hime returned to their business, namely for Haruyuki to learn to fight as the Silver Crow by avenging his defeat against Ash Roller. Thanks to Kuroyuki Hime's knowledge of Brain Burst, Haruyuki became aware of his abilities as a Silver Crow, as well as Ash Roller's weaknesses. Even though Haruyuki for no apparent reason couldn't use his killer move and was overwhelmed because Ash Roller had reached level 2 while he was still level 1, in the end, Haruyuki managed to defeat Ash Roller by taking advantage of Ash Roller's weakness. This was Haruyuki's first win, and he earned more points than he had lost from his previous defeat. Kuroyuki Hime congratulated Haruyuki on his first victory before Chiyuri came because she thought that Kuroyuki Hime had manipulated Haruyuki. Instead of giving Chiyuri an explanation, Kuroyuki Hime provoked Chiyuri. This was deliberately done by Kuroyuki Hime. Brain Burst was created 7 years ago anonymously, and Kuroyuki Hime wants to uncover the truth behind the creation of Brain Burst. To achieve this, she had to reach level 10, which meant that she needed 5 wins against another level 9 burst linkers, as now Kuroyuki Hime had reached level 9 as a Black Lotus. But even one defeat would cost her losing Burst Brain permanently. Therefore, the higher-ups known as the Kings of Pure Color decided to form a peace treaty and not fight with each other, but Kuroyuki Hime disagreed with this since it could thwart her plan. Kuroyuki Hime beheaded the Red King, making her labeled as a traitor, and leading her to seal away Black Lotus. Meanwhile, recently there was a burst linker by the name of Cyan Pile challenging Kuroyuki Hime on the school's local net, and Kuroyuki Hime suspected Chiyuri of being Cyan Pile. To prove Chiyuri's innocence, Haruyuki directs Chiyuri only to find a backdoor connection that can lead him to discover Cyan Pile's true identity. To avoid direction, Haruyuki decided not to meddle with the backdoor connection. On the next day, Kuroyuki-hime, who was famous for being perfect and always acting mature the first time, acted strangely in front of Haruyuki, after finding out that Haruyuki had a direct link with Chiyuri. Haruyuki tried to deny the fact that Kuroyuki-hime liked him, thinking that he was just a disposable pawn to the girl, causing Haruyuki to receive a hard slap from her. Shortly after, a car accelerated towards them, forcing them to use brain burst. In this situation, Kuroyuki-hime confessed her feelings, that she really loves Haruyuki, and then uses a powerful move called physical full burst, causing the user to lose 99% of her points in exchange for the ability to move in brain burst, only to push Haruyuki away so that only Kuroyuki-hime is hit by a car. During Kuroyuki-hime's intensive care at the hospital, Haruyuki realized that if a burst linker attacked Kuroyuki-hime, she would be vulnerable and all her points would be exhausted if she was defeated in this battle. Therefore, Haruyuki decided to stay up all night just to protect Kuroyuki-hime, especially from Cyanpile, who was after her. However, when morning came, what Haruyuki found was Takumu, one of his closest friends, whom he immediately recognized as Cyanpile. In a split second, Haruyuki activated Brain Burst and immediately challenged Takumu before his best friend challenged Kuroyuki-hime. The fight between the two friends is not only about fighting through their powerful punches and techniques, but also about what they have felt so far, including about Haruyuki, who doesn't accept that Takumu has installed a backdoor on Chiyuri. Haruyuki's skill as the Silver Crow was his speed, but Takumu as Cyanpile had cut off an arm and broken the Silver Crow's leg, making Haruyuki realize his weakness of being unable to do anything to protect Kuroyuki-hime. The thought of Kuroyuki-hime gives Haruyuki a boost and he managed to activate his killer move by opening the wings on his back and overcoming Takumu's attack. Haruyuki not only succeeded in defeating Takumu but also managed to protect Kuroyuki-hime and become the only burst linker with the ability to fly. Shortly after Haruyuki's victory, Kuroyuki-hime appeared and exposed her identity as Black Lotus to announce her goal of reaching level 10 to all the spectators. The good thing about this incident is the closer friendship between Haruyuki, Takumu, Chiyuri, and the closer bond between Haruyuki and Kuroyuki-hime. Not only that, but Takumu has also decided to leave his old school, transferred to the same school as Haruyuki, and has vowed to become his partner. Silver Crow, Black Lotus, and Cyanpile had teamed up in various battles, helping Haruyuki to become strong until it felt like time had passed and Silver Crow had reached level 4. As Kuroyuki-hime's team tried to claim more territory, Haruyuki at level 4 began to realize that his tactics in fighting by flying became easier for the enemy to read, therefore he practiced harder to improve his speed and reflexes. What Haruyuki never expected before was the arrival of Tomoko Saito, who is his second cousin, who was later discovered to be a burst linker known as Scarlet Rain, the second Red King. A brief battle ensued between the Silver Crow and Scarlet Rain, proving that the Silver Crow back then was still very weak. Scarlet Rain's goal at that time was to meet with her Legion Master, Black Lotus, to ask permission to borrow the Silver Crow's flying ability to destroy the armor of Catastrophe, an external item that could turn anyone into chrome disasters. However, it was all apparently just a trap that had been devised by Yellow Radio, the Yellow King and the leader of the Yellow Legion, to defeat Scarlet Rain. However, that plan becomes messy because of the presence of Black Lotus, Silver Crow, and Cyanpile. Although it was difficult because they had been surrounded by one legion, they were able to get through it with the cooperation of the two kings. While Scarlet Rain took out all of the Yellow Legion with her firepower, Black Lotus performed close combat against Yellow Radio, which would be the first real battle between two kings. However, before the two of them could use their killer move, it was there that Chrome Disaster appeared, forcing Yellow Radio and its legions to flee. What's interesting in this battle is how Haruyuki overcomes his weakness and fear, to be able to live up to Kuroyuki-hime's expectations of him by defeating Chrome Disaster. Initially, their plan was to take advantage of Silver Crow's flying ability to bring Chrome Disaster to Scarlet Rain. However, it was Silver Crow who managed to defeat Chrome Disaster with his dive kick. Whereas as is known, Black Lotus or Scarlet Rain alone have difficulties defeating Chrome Disaster. After the big fight, Chiyuri, who felt left behind by Haruyuki and Takumu, finally decided to install Brain Burst on her Neuro Link. Since then, Chiyuri has been registered as a Limebell in Brain Burst, even more so with her unique ability as a healer. 7 years after Brain Burst's appearance, there were only 2 people who were blessed with healing abilities, one of which was one of the kings of pure color, while the other was Chiyuri. Currently, Haruyuki, Takumu, and Chiyuri are in their second year of school. Meanwhile, Kuroyuki-hime is in her last year of school and is going on a week-long school trip. That meant that if something happened while at school this week, Kuroyukihime wouldn't be able to help. What was feared actually happened, because there was a new student who turned out to be a burst linker, but his name was not registered there. In order to find out the truth about the new student named Nomi, Haruyuki and Takumu secretly investigate, only to find themselves trapped by Nomi's scheme. It is known that Nomi has the name Dusk Taker, who has the ability to take other people's killer moves or abilities. The Dusk Taker used that ability to take Haruyuki's wings. With Haruyuki's wings gone, for the first time since his arrival at Brain Burst, Haruyuki felt an immense sense of despair, because his wings were the only thing he had been proud of and were his strongest weapon to fight in Brain Burst. With his wings gone, he starts skipping school to avoid Nomi, who has snatched his wings. In the end, Haruyuki fell into depression and didn't know what to do next, even thinking about erasing Brain Burst. However, while walking in the Green Legion's territory, Haruyuki remembered the first person he fought, and that was Ash Roller. Haruyuki challenged Ash Roller again, but right now he felt useless without his wings. Feeling sorry for Haruyuki's lack of motivation, Ash Roller reminded Haruyuki of the time when Haruyuki managed to defeat him even without wings. Ash Roller then introduced him to someone in the old Tokyo Tower in Unlimited Field, Skyraker, Ash Roller's master, who was considered the predecessor of Silver Crow in terms of aerial abilities. The encounter between Silver Crow and Skyraker is an interesting moment, as Haruyuki begins to learn a lot about his inner potential and learns how to use the incarnate system. With 7 days of training, Silver Crow learned a new piercing ability by utilizing his main ability, Speed, and completed the given test by reaching the top of the tower. Not only that, the next day Haruyuki and Skyraker met in the real world, for Skyraker to give her armament to Haruyuki, Gale Thruster. Haruyuki promised Skyraker to take back what had been taken from him, namely his wings and also his flying ability, and when the time come, he would return the Gale Thruster to Skyraker. The next day, when Haruyuki thought about fighting Nomi, Takumu had already challenged Nomi in battle. Although Takumu as Cyan Pile initially excels, Nomi as Dusk Taker demonstrates his ability to use the incarnate system to counter Cyan Pile's abilities and take him down. However, before Dusk Taker took Cyan Pile's points, Silver Crow managed to trick Dusk Taker into entering Battle Royale mode so he could join the fight as well. By leveraging his knowledge of the incarnate system, coupled with the Gale Thruster he received from Skyraker, Silver Crow managed to defeat the Dusk Taker thanks to Cyan Pile's help. Dusk Taker should have lost at that time, but Lime Bell suddenly came and used his Citron Call to heal Dusk Taker's wounds, surprising both Silver Crow and Cyan Pile. It could be said that this is the most annoying moment in this series. With the Dusk Taker completely healed by Lime Bell, he eradicated Cyan Pile in a ruthless and swift manner, causing Lime Bell to scream and the Silver Crow to lose his cool. As if a voice was screaming in his head, a red aura began to surround Silver Crow's body, resembling that of Dusk Taker. Silver Crow attacked Dusk Taker blindly as if he had lost control of himself. In the end, the fight had to end because time had run out. After returning to the real world, Haruyuki and Takumu meet Chiyuri to ask the reason why she helped Nomi, to which Chiyuri replies that she had joined Nomi only because of Burst Point. Believing there is something more to this, Haruyuki tells Takumu about the incarnate system, which is believed to be one way to defeat the Dusk Taker. However, just as Haruyuki began to believe that he and Takumu could beat the Dusk Taker, Haruyuki was again socially tortured, as he was currently under the accusation that he had put a camera in the girls' bathroom at school. Haruyuki tried to hold on by remembering Skyraker's advice of protecting his friends, while Nomi watched with satisfaction. Meanwhile, to learn the incarnate system, Haruyuki and Takumu went to where Scarlet Rain was. Since Haruyuki can use the incarnate system, only Takumu needs to learn the incarnate system, while he goes to investigate how Nomi managed to hide his name from the matching list. Together with Scarlet Rain's ally, Blood Leopard, Haruyuki has discovered the fact that the incarnate system not only gives the power of hope but also gives despair, because the incarnate system will slowly destroy a person and can awaken chrome disaster in their body. This explained how a voice whispered in Haruyuki's head, and the Silver Crow almost lost control of his body while fighting the Dusk Taker. In addition, Haruyuki has also learned the truth behind Nomi's ability to hide his name in the matching list, because Nomi had used the illegal brain implant chip which they connect to networks with, and only used neuro-linkers only to enter into a duel, thus masking them from the matching list. The next day Haruyuki wanted to end all these problems by revealing his findings to Nomi, which could threaten what had been achieved so far because the use of the brain implant chip had been considered illegal since 3 years ago. To end it all, Haruyuki and Nomi have agreed to settle things with a final duel in Unlimited Field, where the winner will take all points belonging to the loser. Haruyuki, along with Takumu supporting him, had determined to finish everything in this fight before Kuroyuki-hime returned. As the day of the duel arrives, Chiyuri surprisingly arrived and asks them to allow her to join as a spectator in Unlimited Field. Despite the betrayal they received earlier, Takumu and Haruyuki decided to trust her. Thus, Silver Crow, Cyan Pile, and Lime Bell entered the battle arena where there was already Dusktaker there. However, as the battle begins, a new Burst Linker, Black Vice ambushes Haruyuki, leaving Cyan Pile alone to fight him. Different from before, Cyan Pile surprisingly excelled in combat thanks to his previous training with Scarlet Rain. Unfortunately, Dusktaker took advantage of Lime Bell's presence and made her a hostage to make Cyan Pile surrender. Haruyuki had given up in this situation until finally, he saw a piece of himself striving all this time together with Kuroyuki-hime. This made his escape from the power of Black Vice at the cost of losing his metallic armor. Not long after that, Black Lotus also appeared to help them. While Black Lotus faced Black Vice, Black Lotus entrusted Silver Crow to fight the Dusktaker. While Dusktaker used Silver Crow's wings to fly, Silver Crow chased him with Skyraker's Gale Thruster and attacked him multiple times using his piercing ability, Laser Sword. All of Silver Crow's effort and determination succeed in defeating Dusktaker, but again and again, Lime Bell ruined everything with the Citron Call, regenerating all the wounds he received. However, this time Dusktaker's wings disappeared, and Silver Crow could feel them growing on his back. In a dramatic turn of events where Dusktaker falls from a height, Silver Crow combines his wings with the Gale Thruster, enabling rapid airspeed which is then combined with a laser sword attack. The victory was in the hands of the Silver Crow, and Lime Bell finally made it clear that she had never sided with the Dusktaker. Lime Bell realized that her ability was not healing, but rewinding the time, so she continued to use her ability on Dusktaker with the thought that one day the wings would return to the Silver Crow. With the Dusktaker defeated, Black Vice flees, and Lime Bell explains everything that happened to Black Lotus, and officially joined her legion, the Nega Nebulous. Back in the real world, with Kuroyuki-hime's return, the bad rumors regarding Haruyuki had been cleared, since Nomi had lost his memory. After school ends, Haruyuki along with Kuroyuki-hime and Takumu meet Scarlet Rain and Black Leopard, and they have decided to reach level 10 and discover the truth behind Brain Burst. Haruyuki also fulfilled his promise to Skyraker to return the Gale Thruster and thanked her for giving him hope. As Skyraker turned around and was about to leave them, Kuroyuki-hime called out to her, asking her to return to the Nega Nebulous and restore their broken friendship. At this point, they refer to each other by their first name, Skyraker being Fuko and Kuroyuki-hime being Sa-chan, and the two hug each other while crying as a sign of the return of their friendship. Thus came the ending of Accel World. Haruyuki concluded that humans lived in the gap between one moment and forever. Meetings and partings must exist in a world where everything changes and everyone is frantically living their life. There must be some things that don't change, but there are also some things that change and never be got back. However, even if things change, things can start over again as long as they have the desire to accelerate forward.